session. Yes, so I just asked my IT. Yeah, great. So that started. So thank you for joining us. And today we have a very special guest with us. But before we start, let me just give some housekeeping here. Today we're going to be talking about a very important topic. A lot of us are mothers, and even if we're not mothers, we know mothers. And today we're having those family finance conversations that we don't always get to have. How do you manage money, family, and everything in between, really? So, one of the key things I would like us to do is use the opportunity of having Ife with us to ask questions. So, please type your questions in the comments. And if you would like to speak at some point when she's done, when we're done with the initial part of this conversation, just raise your hand and we'll call on you as well. Okay, so what are we doing here? Money Talks with Temi is really a conversation series where I sit down with people that I genuinely respect and we talk about money conversations that don't happen enough. And tonight, like I said, it's a topic that means a lot to me. I'm a mother. I'm working. In fact, I tell people I have three jobs. There's a lot going on in the life of a woman these days. And there are just some things that would be good for us to talk a bit more about managing your life as a working mother. And today I am joined by Ifeoluwa Adegoke. Ife is a leading voice in the financial industry, helping individuals to transform their financial stories and design their fulfilling financial life. She's the founder of MTWI Financial Services, which is a top tier financial planning firm dedicated to helping career professionals achieve lasting financial stability. Ife has impacted well over 15,000 people with financial literacy across Africa. Ife, thank you so much for being with us today. Can we see and hear Ife? Is Ife still with us? Oh, okay. Seems Ife has just gone off. So before Ife joins us, I would like to check. In the comment section, can we just know where people are joining us from? I see we have a few participants online. Can you let us know in the chat where you're joining us from? Are we all based in Nigeria? Where in Nigeria are we based? Oh, I see someone who isn't based in Nigeria in there. Switzerland. Hello, Ego. Nice. And who else do we have? Abiola, thank you. Abiola is joining us from Nigeria. Who else do we have? Botswana. That's an interesting place I haven't been to yet. Gaborone. Messi, how do you pronounce that? The name of the location?
Oh, it's actually Gaborone. Good evening, Temi.
Good evening, Mercy. Nice to see you. Well, nice to hear
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Hi, Bridget from Lagos and Mercy Bala from Abuja. Nice to have you here. Coventry, England, Amovie. Nice to have you here. Interestingly, I'm visiting the UK today. Probably why I have such fantastic network. Okay, so right. So I'm just looking through the I'm just looking through the participants here and I can see it looks like we have mostly women, but I see a Kunle here. I would love it if it's a man who is joining us because it would be good to also see and hear from our perspective how some of these things affect us. Okay, so do we have Ife back with us?
Yes, I'm back. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Ife. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we'll just get started in a minute. I had just welcomed you, Ife. Thank you so much for coming. I know it's a Saturday evening. A lot of people have so many things they're doing, and I know that you're very busy. So it's an honor to have you with us. Thanks for joining.
Thank you,
So
Amy.
we'll just get started with our conversation today. And
Mm.
before we go into it much further, Ife, I'd just like to hear from you. If you could just tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, And most importantly, what does this working mother life actually look like for you?
Okay. So I will turn on my video immediately. I'm able to fix some issues I'm having around my surroundings. But
No
permit me to
problem.
just have audio on right now. Good evening, beautiful women and probably a man in the house, from what I've heard. Great to be here. So I'm Ifeoluwa Adegoke. I am many things. I am a financial planner to many people, a CEO to some people. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a woman trying to figure it all out, you know. About myself, professionally, like I said, I'm a financial planner. I'm
Mhm.
the founder and CEO of the MTWI Financial Services brand, where we work with people. We provide financial advisory and investment advisory services. Then financial education is part of it. Also, the Money Talks with Ife is where I share daily nuggets on personal finance education, which is where myself and my sister Temi here connected some years ago. Um, hmm. So I'm just going to go right into the part about motherhood and
Yeah.
work and all of that. So I feel like I was slightly later to the game because I became a mom like how many months ago now? How old is my baby? Uh, so Temi, they've had years of experience. So these are the people you should come to for advice.
I'm just 4 years into the game.
That's still some time, you know. But for me, I would say it's if I'm being honest, it's a lot trying to balance life, work, expectations, and being a present mom. It's not the
Mhm.
easiest. I've always been one of those women that, fantasized about being there as much as possible, at least at the very early phase of the children's life. And I'm also very ambitious. So I don't want to give up on my business or running my company. I still have to, I'm trying to show up for that and also to show up for myself. Sometimes we moms, we forget to show up for ourselves, our health, our well-being, self-care sometimes. So those are some of the things that I would say has been uh just the waters I'm navigating, right?
Yeah.
Just to start the conversation. Yeah.
So interestingly, the reason why I thought about you for this topic is because you're a new mother. There are quite a number of women, they've been at it. In fact, some of them have forgotten what it's like to have a little child. Some of them, their children are all in the universities. I have a few other sessions coming up, and I have such women, seasoned mothers experienced in it. What I really want to get out today is from someone who is literally in the middle of the grind. Because I find that it is not as easy to balance that whole, we're chasing this bag. And especially when you're an ambitious person, you want to be there for your family, but you also want to achieve those personal goals and aspirations you have for yourself. And sometimes it can't always be easy. So, thank you so much for that. What I would like us to talk about really is if you could just paint us a picture. You have both male and female clients.
Mhm.
When you have a mother, a working mother come into your office and like, okay, this is what I'm looking at. I want to plan my finances. I want to make sense of my money. What kinds of things does she look usually? What do you see that is different with her compared to your male clients?
Very, very good, great question, Temi. One thing that is at the forefront for my female or my women clients or female clients is their children.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, the men think about their families as well and all of that, but you will still hear men say more of, oh, for myself, for my future. But at the fourth core, especially when the woman is a mother, the first thing you will hear is, oh, my children, their school fees, I want to have a plan that will be there for, when they want to go to university. I still have 6 years, I have 4 years till they go to university. I would like to start planning for that now. or oh, I didn't have a soft landing when I entered adulthood. I would like my children to have something that I can hand over to them maybe by the time they turn 18, 21, so that
Mhm.
they can have that soft landing in life. So these kind of conversations are most almost inevitable when I have
Yeah.
a mother in front of me talking to me. So I would say at the core, there's always that conversation. And I also see, truthfully, I give credit to a lot of the awareness work that financial educators and experts like ourselves are doing online. I also see that more women are getting comfortable to now say, but I don't want to forget myself too, to now say, okay, I'm planning for my children. I love my children. I want them to have this and that, but I still want, what can I do for myself? So I'm
Mhm.
also seeing a trend where women are getting very comfortable to think and plan for their own future, even though their children is always at the forefront, the mothers, the children
Yeah.
comes first. But for them, they will also say, okay, so but for myself, I don't want to retire and have to be begging my children for what to eat, all the worries they have about the economy, inflation, and all of that. So that's
Mhm.
the conversation usually is like.
So that's interesting because that is exactly what I see in my space as well. Most times women start with their children. But there's still that tendency that the part of I want to also look out for myself, it's almost an afterthought. Yes, my children, this is the goal, this is the goal. And I say, okay, yeah, and also, I also would like to have some money for my retirement. Or, oh, I may want to go on vacation at some point, or I may want to do this. But it comes after the children. And that is
Mm,
where I really want us to land today's conversation around. As women, we tend to be a bit more emotional. Yes, it's a generalization and not everyone is like that, but quite a number of us tend to be emotional in our thinking. Making money is very important. And unlike maybe I would say our grandparents, a lot of us are in that space where we're in two income households now, we're working, we're also pulling our weight financially. And when we're working, it's not a case of everything is just coming from the husband. We're also trying to help. In some cases, we're even the ones managing the household budgets. Now, when
mm,
you have a woman in that space where she's not only thinking about herself, she's thinking about her family and making sure that everything is going on well there. What
mm,
are the things that you see in terms of stress levels? What are the emotional impacts that this could potentially have on these women?
mm. Can you recap the question again? I want to be sure I got it correctly.
Okay, so we have women who are not just working. So in like I said, in our grandparents' days, we had
Mm,
women who were maybe staying at home or they had lighter jobs that were not
mm,
as hands-on as a lot of what we're doing now. These days we have a lot of women who are CEOs, starting businesses, managing heavy things outside, but they're also managing their homes. The first thing I'd like to know is what are the kinds of things you see in the space? Is that something that you see a lot of with your clients? And how does it impact them as individuals? So in terms of the stress levels it could cause.
mm,
Let me give a practical example. One of the things I tend to see is we have mothers who have significant mom guilt.
mm,
I'm very busy. I'm not doing a lot. I'm, working hard and I'm not as there for my children as I would like to be. Do you
mm,
see a lot of this? And how do you think mothers can manage this?
mm. Great question. I understand it better now. For the women I come across, I think again it depends on the phase of motherhood that the woman is in. The ones that are advanced into it, they sort of developed a tough skin, right?
Yeah.
But when you're still in the quite early phase, the stressors can really be amplified. So some of the things, like you rightly said, is the guilt of not being present enough. Sometimes I feel that myself, when I have
Yeah.
back-to-back meetings and, my baby really wants to be with me, touch mommy, play with mommy, but mommy cannot do that right now, So the guilt comes up from time to time. Another thing I see is the mental workload tends to amplify for mothers, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
in most settings, if there is help or not, mothers are usually the primary, like the first touch point, right? In our new generation of women, we are evolving and changing the narrative in some of our homes where we now have fathers that are present as well. But still, most times the mother is the first touch point for care for the child. And you see that having to handle that and work and all the demands of corporate life or business, whichever shoe you're wearing, can also cause the um, mental overload, if that's how I put it. So you get overwhelmed. And if you don't have room, some women even see it as luxury, right? That you have room that you can, let the father or the second caregiver step in where you can just decompress a bit and center yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
the guilt, the feeling of overwhelm, at least for me, I get that now more. I have a company that is still practically a baby. We are not up to 5 years yet. So you can
Yeah.
imagine that a lot of things still revolves around me, even though I have a very capable team, they will still check with me to make decisions. And handling that and the home front is not the easiest thing to navigate as a woman. Um, I would say that to get out of this, honestly, I believe strongly that what we need is to have more support system in place as much as possible. At work, I mean, before I used to have a lot of issues with getting help, not like a house help now, but like accepting help from people because I feel like if
Anyone,
I like
anyone.
my things done a certain way, I
Mm-hmm.
believe I'm the best person that can do it the way I want to do it. But now, as a mother, I've been humbled. I'm the one asking for help. Do you have help to render? I will collect it. Give it to me. So one of the things that is helping me really is getting more comfortable to accepting help, at least from trusted people that I know that they have my best interest at heart. Either at work, I'm delegating more. Oh my God. When I look at myself, I'm like, is this me? You mean I can delegate this much? Even till the details, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
just handle it and tell me where to show up. That's all I need to know. So these are some of the things that in my own personal experience, I am seeing as I'm evolving
Yeah.
as a mom. And I hope I've done justice to the question there.
Yes. So here's the thing. Most times when we really sit back as women, oh, before I had my children, I had these grand plans. I was like, I was going to be that it mother. Everything needs to get that. I'm there for everything they need. And then now I'm in that space where right now I traveled for work this week. My children are not with me, obviously. And you just start wondering, someone else is helping. Now, helping is great. I mean, it's amazing. It gives us time to actually fly and do all those other things we want to do. But there is usually that mom guilt. And now this takes me to something adjacent to that, which is expenses. Raising children is not the cheapest thing. And while we sit down and say, oh, we would like to be there for our children as much as possible, the truth is one income households can't manage it. So we really do need that dual income where possible. Now, what I would like us to talk about is the costs of raising a child. I read a few of your posts recently around some of the great things that you're setting up for your child when she's an adult in terms of, investments, portfolios, and all of that.
Mhm.
When we're thinking about the financial life of our financial life, especially with children in it, what are the things that we really should be looking out for as mothers?
Okay, cool. So one thing I would say is um, children are very expensive. Let's start from there.
Those that
They
want to have five, seven children, hope you're hearing.
ah, children are expensive. Oh my God. Um, so I was teasing a friend recently that um considering crutch for my baby, and then I went to do some shopping for some, bottles,
Mm-hmm.
food stuff, and all these fancy ones that they have, and I'm hearing the prices. I'm like, why? Is it not just to carry food? Why is it
They
this?
say, it's BPA free. It has something inside that is very special.
And at the same time, I want the best. I'm like, this is what I want, but bring the price down. Why is it this high? When we were going to school, it's just plastic and basket. Why is it this?
Thank you.
There's just layers and layers to it. And then when you now talk about the people, like I have a nephew that started school recently. I've not heard the end of it from his parents. The school they went, they are doing like, it's just too wide. They charging like 1 million for every term. Well, I said,
Mm.
is it not you that want the best education? Eh?
There's the one that is charging 100,000. You will get what you pay for.
Exactly. So children are definitely expensive, and it reflects when you become a mother,
Mm.
when you become a family. You stop thinking about me or me and my husband, and it's now, oh, our child, our son, our daughter, what are we planning? What are we putting in place? What kind of lived experiences do we want them to have? You know, and it shows in your priority how you now spend your money. When myself and my husband, when we were single and we were dating, we used to travel a lot. I used to travel like multiple times in a year. I've not traveled. I mean, I took in and then I didn't travel, and then it's almost 2 years now, and I'm feeling it like, why have I not traveled? I should be traveling, But this is just a new reality for me, apart from the demand of being present for her and all of that, the logistics that is now involved in traveling as a family now. It
Mhm.
also has financial implications. So it's no longer you as a woman, just as yourself, or your husband as himself. It's just now there are people in the mix that their future literally depends on the quality of the decisions you make now. So it does show in your expenses a lot.
Mhm.
And I believe the question primarily is how to navigate this, right?
Yes, yes.
So I would say for me, I can just speak because again, there are different dynamics with motherhood, with parenting. I would just say um, planning helps.
Mhm.
Planning helps, and that's why I'm a great planner, and that's one strength that my family leverages on. I like to plan ahead of time, you know, as she is now, we know the age that she's going to start learning swimming. I already know where she's going to learn swimming. I already know the cost of the swimming classes. I already have that earmarked as what we need to put aside for that goal. So being a great planner can be a good strength for you. I think is a great strength for you as a mom. And if your
Mhm.
partner is the better planner, please, by all means, let him do it. So planning for expenses, especially the major ones ahead of time, is great. And it comes from self-awareness that you have as a parent. What experiences do I want my children to have? How can I plan? What kind of schools do I want them to to attend rather? Like those moms that come to my office or I speak to, sometimes their children are even still in primary school, but they're already thinking that, oh, I want my children to study abroad, and that gives you a period of like 10, 12 years to plan,
Yeah.
where you can focus on, even if it is $100 I'm putting aside from now, but now, by the time they are ready to go to university, I'll have something to kickstart the journey
Mhm.
with. And if you go back to that, my post, that's the core of what I was trying to preach. That it's
Yeah.
not so much. There's a lot taking my money right now, right? Um, the same with my husband, taking our money as a family goals that we still want to achieve in career and business and all of that. But because of planning and because of foresight, those little actions you can start taking that you can start taking now that will give you enough time to actually hit that milestone or hit that financial goal for your children. I think that's a great, great thing to have in your finances. I know
Mm.
things are still going to come suddenly. That one is inevitable. But at least the ones you can plan for, please plan for them. plan for their education, plan for, again, lived experiences. If you want them to start traveling, if you want them to have a particular skill, what is it going to cost? How long do you need to save for it? You know, those are the things that really makes it less overwhelming financially, at least in my professional and lived experience as a mom of how many months old. So this is the most realistic advice I think I can give, instead of some statistics or financial academic stuff I can recite. I do percentage of this, that. Most times those things don't work in real life as a mom, right? Planning, oh my God, planning would help. Planning would help. And it's not so, when I'm saying planning, I'm not saying you have to have all the money now, right? If you know, okay, my child is 4 years old, 5 years old, and they're going to go to this type of, I want them to go to this type of secondary school, you know, in a few years, what can I start putting aside? Even if it's just a money market fund that I'm putting 50K every month, I'm putting 20,000, you know, how can that grow to mean something significant for my children when I want them to have that experience? So that's one thing that is helping me uh, in this very interesting journey we are on.
So if you can just dig down a bit more on that. So where are the places people are putting this money aside for the children education? You've mentioned money markets. What are the other options available?
All right. Personally, I love money markets because it gives you access should you need it. And it also has that, you know, compounding effect if you don't touch it. You know, the interest doesn't directly come into your bank account, so you are not tempted to spend it. It stays on with your asset manager, and then it keeps rolling over. Another instrument I particularly like for planning for children is dollar funds. All right. So if you're somebody that maybe your goal is dollar related or pounds related, like you want your child to study abroad or to go to Disney World or something, whatever goal you have, you can have, of course, I'm assuming that we are mostly Nigerians here, but if you're not in Nigeria, you're in another country, have a high yield savings account denominated in dollars or a dollar fund. So most asset managers offering money markets would typically have a dollar fund as well. So what this does for you is, you know, it protects you against currency fluctuations, especially if your goal is long term. Say you have a period of 5, 10 years to plan. You might want to consider a dollar fund. And another place is utilizing platforms that, you know, all these fintechs. If you look at RiseVest, you do their dollar vault, you know, for a period of time, you can get up to 10% per annum, right? That beats a lot of market rates. But one thing I want to use as a guiding principle is ensure that you're doing it with a licensed and regulated entity. So an asset manager that has been around for long enough. I like the new guys, but I still, when it comes to long-term planning, I still go to the OGs.
Yeah.
So you see me going to people like Stanbic, First Bank. They did not pay me for adverts, but I'm just sharing my experience. Because these guys have been around for decades and they've gone through different economic trends, they've survived, they are still standing, right?
Yeah.
So those are the OG guys I trust more with long-term planning. I would also say that with this kind of fund, you don't necessarily want to take enormous risk with it. And that's why you see me not mentioning something like the stock markets. And this is a two-way street, right? You can include the stock market for something like, oh, when they are 21, I want them to have a level of wealth that I can hand over to them. That can be for that. But when it comes to planning for specific things that has specific timelines, like education, like maybe lived experiences that you have a timeline for, I would advise to stick with the low risk, predictable assets. Those are the ones that would help you to have peace of mind and know that you're not taking crazy risk with the money. And
Yeah.
whatever interest rate is coming, we are happy with it and know that the money is safe, right? The stock market is great, but it has volatility. You might need the money next year, and then that's the year that the stock market decides to be red everywhere. So
A
these
sea
are
of
just
red.
some of the guiding principles, guiding principles I'll share with us.
Okay, so what is your take on insurance packages? Now, a lot of people have insurance providers come in to market to them the next best thing for building wealth. Can we
Mm.
hear a bit about your thoughts on that?
So I found that a lot of people, and some people might still trust, but I found that in Nigeria, a lot of people don't trust insurance that much as it is in other countries where maybe the system is slightly more transparent, right?
Mhm.
But insurance is good, right? If you get a good life insurance policy, it is fantastic to have something that um, you can start contributing to that can serve as, you know, a buffer. Should anything happen to you, and then some even have policies that allow you to take out that life insurance after a period of time, if hell and hurty, and you can
Yeah.
now use that money for something. So life insurance, I really advise it if I mean if you're really intentional and you're thinking long term and protecting your children as much as possible. On this note, I would also say that it's great to consider a trust, especially if you are um, I would say it's great to consider a trust across board, right? I love trust because as you are buying your asset, you can buy asset in your children's name and keep it in that trust. You're not just planning for when you are alive with trust. You're also planning for should anything happen to you, there is a trust that can take care and cater to your children. So there are a lot of things you can put inside your trust. In fact, it's one of my favorite financial instruments because you can lay down any guideline for your trustee saying,
Yeah.
okay, it's only when my children are 18 that I want them to start getting dividends from this. This one is when maybe they get married and this fund should go to them. You can lay it out as you want, and you can even adjust as you go on. And there are different types of trust where you can also continue to enjoy the benefits, right? And that's why it wins over will. Will is just the bare minimum, right? But we
Mm.
trust as you are alive, and you can also enjoy your dividends from your trust. Yeah, so
Okay,
I'll
so there are several types of there are several things to consider when we're talking about women and finances, but it is almost standard that our children are our primary concern. And it was interesting when you were talking about don't take risk with the children's education. I literally had a session with a client this morning, and she was like,
hmm.
"You see that school fees? I don't want anything that even if it's just 2% up or down, I don't want anything. Just let it be safe." Like that's perfect.
Exactly.
That's what the money market fund will do for you.
Hmm.
Great. So I am really enjoying hearing from you, and I would encourage people, please put your questions in the comments. Any questions you have for Ife? It's not just me today, you have another finance expert. Ask your questions. Let's take advantage of having her with us. It's not every day we get someone to just talk to us without, any fees. Okay, Ife. So, in your experience, if you were to give a ballpark, what would you say the cost of raising a child is? Let's leave the fancy experiences, Disney park and all that.
Hmm.
Basic from being born to the day that child's like, young man, please, I did not kill my father. Go and take care of yourself. What do you think anyone should be looking at keeping aside?
Hmm. Ha. Hmm. Bare minimum, right? Bare minimum in talking, I'm going to speak about Nigeria, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Education, all of that. I would say for each child, you should be considering uh, till what from what age to what
From
time?
birth, from birth, focus is on education, by the way.
Okay, focuses
From
on
birth
education.
till graduation, yes.
From birth to, let's say, university.
Yes. First
Yeah.
degree.
So again, there are a lot of moving factors, depends on the kind of university, you know. Let me give you an example. A mom that I spoke with recently, she's planning for one of our clients, planning for her children's education.
Mhm.
And she's going to retire in 9 years. And 7 years out of that 9 years, 90% of her salary will go to her children's education. And that's because, and this is a high earner. I mean, 90% of disposable now after expenses will go to our
Okay,
children's
okay,
education
okay.
because each child requires minimum of £105,000 for their university education, at least from the projection. So you look
Just
at,
university. This does not include primary, secondary, and so I'm assuming this person has slightly older children.
yes, so
Okay.
children in secondary school already. And altogether, in space of 6 years, she's looking at £450,000 thereabouts to put aside for her children's education. So again, it depends on the type of education you want them to have. But a ballpark, say in Nigeria, let's say they go to private university here in Nigeria, private secondary school, primary school, I would say you should be looking at 70 to 100 million. If I'm being, or maybe I'm just, that's too high. If again, if the level of education is made, so maybe you're doing private secondary and federal university, you can be looking at 30, 40 million instead.
So
Thereabout.
basically, we can see that there is a large range. It can go from
Mm,
30 million per child to 100 million to
mm,
as much as 100,000 pounds. So the
mm.
important here is where can your hand go? One one mistake that's and I'm trying to bring this back to us as women. I'm focusing really on the women today, not just the family in general. And the reason is while a lot of the time we have the men being the ones raising and funding the family, there's a trend we see in recent times where a lot of women are also doing well, and you find that women have sort of become the breadwinners. And
Mm,
where the woman is a breadwinner, there are some unique things to look out for, right? Like you've said, now you have these ranges of education. Now, let's face it, my sisters, we tend to want the best for our children, even
mm,
when the best is not necessarily affordable. So you have someone who is eager that, look, my children need to go to school abroad. They have to go to school abroad. This is the kind of money you're looking at. You need to have at least £105,000. And the UK is cheaper, right? If you were thinking of the US, it would be significantly more, isn't it?
mm, mm,
So, so the ranges that we're looking at, we need to have that at the back of our mind, the cost implication. Now, you've mentioned already that the ideal places to warehouse these funds are places like the money market fund or a dollar fund. But we have a question here asking to shed more light on insurance and trust. So I know that you've mentioned life insurance. There are also some insurance like endowments and then trust. Could you just tell us a bit more about how these could help and maybe shed a bit more light on how the trust itself could help in this situation where we've arrived that this is how much we want to save for the education, for example?
mm. Okay. So the question now is around insurance itself and then trust.
Trust as well, yes.
Okay. So with insurance is basically, in the simplest term, it's you agreeing with whoever your insurance provider that you want to set up a policy where you'll be paying a particular premium. Premium is contribution, monthly contribution to your policy with the goal that should anything happen to you, you pay from that life insurance to your beneficiaries. So basically, your immediate family, children, and spouse. And there are different ways that insurance can work, right? First, the things it does for you is it offers that protection that you need for your family. It's not like, God forbid, death happens and then
Mm-hmm.
everybody's running a task. Oh, we don't know what to do, there's just that covering that comes with that. An extra layer of covering, I would say. It can support children's education, it can help take care of the family should anything happen. So I think it's one of the instruments that families should consider having, just as another layer of covering and protection outside of any other type of insurance. And you can there are different types of insurance. So I'm looking at how to go around this without taking too much time. So it can be a time life insurance that covers your entire lifetime. You can have savings and investments aspect of it, where you contribute and then of course the money is growing and
Mm-hmm.
compounding. And like I said, you can also there are policies that allows you to get that you can withdraw from your life insurance should you need it, right?
Okay.
So that has to be a conversation with whoever is offering the policy to you. You ask them like, okay, these are the things that are important to me. Maybe 10 years or 20 years into this contribution, I want to be able to withdraw money from this. Is that something you can provide? And typically, these insurance companies will tell you um, how much contribution you would have made, like a projection. So you can see, okay, this is where I would be in my contribution and the value of this in the next 10 to 15 or 20 years, whatever timeline you're working with. What else? Let me touch
And
on, yes, you
the
want to add
trust.
something?
Yes,
Okay.
the trust. How would you look at, so when you're setting up a trust,
Mm-hmm.
what would you be looking at there? Especially when
Okay.
it comes to education. Because if you are not thinking of education, your child is likely going to be 18 after school, by the time they can inherit their funds themselves, then you may not need a trust, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so trust in terms of education planning now, you can set up an education trust, right? Where
Mhm.
you have a trustee. Trustee is the person setting up the trust for you. So let's use in Nigeria now, you have Stanbic IBTC trustees,
Mhm.
right? You go to them and say, I want to set up an education trust for my child. What does that entail? They are the trustee. You come and you say, every month or quarterly, I want to make so amount of contribution towards my child's education trust, right? So they would give you you set up the policy and the terms. All right. So you're looking at a child, maybe your child is 10 years old now, and you want that education trust to kick in by the time they're going to university. So you're
Yeah.
looking at a period of 8 years, and they're going to
Mhm.
tell you that on this education trust, this is the average growth we see on the education trust, right? And with that, you can project how much you most likely have by the time the child is ready to enter university. So the child that you're putting the education trust fund for, they are the beneficiaries. So
Yeah.
it could be your child or your children. These are the ones that benefit from it. Another thing with trust is you can even have a term that says once the education starts, the trustee pays their um, their tuition directly
Mhm.
from the trust, right? So you see terms where people are still have children in primary, secondary school, and um, are you the guarantor now? I think I've forgotten that term. Maybe you are the guarantor, the one setting up the trust. So
Yeah.
um, you give them the school details, right?
Mhm.
That this child is in year this of this class, and this is their payment details. So going on from there, the trustee can even now relate with your child's school, right?
Okay.
And pay the
Mhm.
fund directly, pay the child's tuition directly without you having to think about that middle space and withdrawing and paying if you want your trustee to function your trust to function that way. Again, it depends on the terms that you set. You have all the control. You just tell them what you want, and then they
Yeah.
will help you set up the policy the way you want it.
You want it to be.
The good thing about trust is if you know you're possibly not going to remember to do all this monthly, oh, I'm putting this aside for my children's education over
Mm-hmm.
the next 10, 15 years, then by all means use an education trust. Because now you have a third party that is dedicated to holding you
Solely to taking care of
accountable.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and reminding you that, oh, madam, quarterly, you said you are going to be sending us $1,000 towards your child's education, or 500,000 or 100K. Abuse, we've not heard from you. So
Mm-hmm.
you get that external nudge to keep you committed to that goal. That's another benefit of having an
A
education
trust.
trust.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about 30 million, 100 million, 100,000 pounds. What about those who are not necessarily in that income bracket? There are still people who are raising families, taking care of finances at lower ends of the spectrum. What kind of advice, what kind of financial steps could they be taking that would still be beneficial to them? I'm assuming, I mean, so I know that trusts are not necessarily that expensive, but they may not necessarily work for someone who doesn't have that significant amount of money they're working towards. So what can the everyday woman deal with how can she manage when it comes to setting up for the future? Sorry, are you there? Okay, so while we wait for Ife to come back, Ife, I think she's
Okay,
has
so I
oh
think there was a setting that didn't allow me to unmute.
sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. So for the people that okay, the income level is not
Yeah.
on the high end, I will still say see what you can do yourself. And honestly, we trust is not as crazy as most people make it, or
Okay.
like as as difficult. You can still approach a trustee, talk to them about what you're capable of and what your goals are, right? And hear what they have to say. One principle I operate by is don't zero yourself out of conversations because you feel like, oh, but my money no
For rich
reach.
people.
Ask questions first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And see if they can provide something custom to your own capacity. You never know, right? So
Mm-hmm.
ask questions, still have these conversations. Another thing is if you don't want to go the trust route or life insurance, or maybe these are things that you might not be able to contribute to, you're already spread thin in your finances, then look at what you can do on your own, right?
Mm.
Again, intentionality is not always about big numbers. It's about looking at your capacity and saying that, okay, either I like it or not, this responsibility is still going to be there 5, 10 years from now. What can I do now to start to move the needle a little bit while
Mm.
I hope for my finances to grow and become better and I achieve my career goals and the kind of life I want. So it could
Mm-hmm.
be okay, you are starting a savings account, right? Where you automate so for example, now some people do something as simple as they open a piggyvest account, which is the platform here in Nigeria. You open a piggyvest account and you automate 5, 10K savings. It could be daily, it could be monthly, it could be you just automate it, just let that money go there. Your money that your mind is not on. And you're just doing that knowing that that is for your children, right? Again, intentionality is not so much about the big numbers, but about having foresight and taking action. And taking action now. Sorry, I have a cold and my pronunciation is sounding off.
Sorry.
And taking action now, thank you, before you now enter the situation and you're like, oh my god, I didn't, it's better that way. So that's what I would say to that.
Okay. Thanks, Ife. So we have a question here. Lived experience versus wealth transfer. Which should one take as a priority?
Hmm. Is it wealth building now, or like, oh, you want to build the wealth and transfer it?
Yeah, so I believe the person is thinking about leaving in an inheritance for the children as opposed to giving them a fancy, wonderful life right now while they are still here with them. Ego,
Ah,
please, if I'm wrong, correct me.
hmm. Well, my answer is going to be biased. Um, so, and here's why. Um, as a financial planner, one of my guiding principle is that your you can enjoy your life now, even while you
Mm-hmm.
plan for the future. So for me, every client I talk to, I will still say, okay, are you enjoying your life now, even while we're planning for this retirement, this big goal, this, that, and as much as possible. So I would say maybe the middle, right? Um, it might not be as grand as you'd want it in terms of lived experiences, right? But still let them have good lived experiences, if you get what I mean,
Yeah.
while still planning for. So you can have both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. That's how I say it. But if you're going to now prioritize and say, okay, I don't want to do one, I want to do the other, I would say wealth transfer, right? Because
Mm.
me, I'm not sure I had so much lived experiences, right? Growing up, but wealth transfer would have wiped off any form of lived experience. I would not, I would be like,
Money
okay,
treats a lot of things.
exactly. I'm like, okay, let's have it. I'm all right. Daddy did well. Mommy has done well. They gave me some hundreds of thousands of dollars to start life with. I'm okay. I don't have any trauma. Uh,
Yeah.
so I will still say if you have to choose, then wealth transfer. But if not, try and find a middle ground. Maybe instead of Disney World, you can do, I don't know, Ghana or Lagos resort, some resort in Lagos. I don't know. So
Yeah.
you just find your middle ground. That
So
that
one of
that's
the
what I
things I
feel.
truly believe in is when we plan our finances based on our goals.
Mm,
What are those important goals to you? What are those important goals to your family? If you are working with what's important within your family, you would find that balance. Sometimes
mm,
it's experiences, and sometimes it's more general comfort, but it doesn't have to cost a lot. Netflix and chill is a very important say. You can have an amazing time sitting down in front of your TV with your family or coming up with board games. You're still having lived experiences. Your children would still experience a lot. They would play with the family. One of the
mm,
mistakes I think we tend to make is thinking we have to spend a lot of money before our children have fun.
mm.
Some of them don't remember a lot of these things. So what they remember is when that time mommy and daddy were rolling on the floor with us. That's what they remember.
Exactly.
Not so much the, oh, we got on a plane and I sat in business class. I mean, please, I will happily sit in business class, but I'm not sure the children may remember. Thank you so much, Ife.
Thank
There's
you.
just one more question I really want to touch on before we wrap it up, and that is around household financial planning. In most households, women are the ones who hold the household budgets. The husband has given her this amount of money. Go and find how to cook soup with it. Go and find how to manage everything that you need to manage with it, right?
Mm,
It's not always enough. Sometimes
mm,
it's enough, it's more than enough. Sometimes it's not enough. Do you have any quick tips that we could bear in mind when managing these expenses, managing our household finances? And of course, these same tips could trickle down into managing our personal finances.
mm. Okay. So one thing I would say is always have your priority sheet outside of your budget sheet.
Okay.
Your priority sheet is what are the things that we cannot, we must absolutely have in this house. Again, based on the values that you have or the quality of life that you're fanning to flame, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so have your priority list and have your secondary list. And then when and this is particularly useful when it feels like, oh, finances are not, let me say in Yoruba, I will not find the English word, kò pọ̀ yapa, owó yẹn ò máa kún dàlẹ̀, like the money is not overflowing. Now the English has come to me, you see?
Mm-hmm.
The money is not overflowing, you know. this would really help. Have your priority list and then your secondary list. So priority list, what could be on it is maybe food is a priority. For children, you can look at, okay, extracurricular activities, are they a priority that we are paying for? These are things that can move to our secondary list. What else do you spend money on? Of course, rent, all those things are on the priority list. But every other thing, so my point is, when you're now creating a budget, you know your priority list will come first. Then your secondary list, you can now have a conversation with your partner on, like, okay, for these children, can we afford to let this go for now? Or maybe your partner is one that is not involved in, that doesn't want to be involved in that kind of a conversation. You can now make the decision on, oh, this month, should we say no to this so that we can have this? Right. So I find that outside of the budget list, absolutely have a priority and secondary list. This will help you to always, know how to shift things around and not have everything clashing in your mind. Most times you get overworked about money because everything is just there, scattered in our mind. Oh, I have to pay for this, I have to pay for that. But when you write things down and you see what is actually the priority, what is actually on the secondary list, it helps you put things in perspective. And that in itself will calm you down and put you in control and help you have, help you know how to plan things better. So that's one tip I would share, and something that I think anyone would find valuable.
And a priority list is important because, like you said, you can have 1,000,001 things you want to do, but the money is very finite. It can only cover so much. So having that list helps you structure and prioritize, like the word says. Thank you so much, Ife, for joining us today. It's been lovely talking to you. Do you have any last words to leave with us before we wrap up? Anywhere how can we reach you? And what services can you offer us?
Thank you once again, Temi, for having me. Great work you're doing. I love it, what you're doing. I love what every woman is doing. Every woman taking up space, supporting other women, giving a voice, encouraging, uplifting, educating. You're a superstar. So well done.
You.
And for every woman here, I want you to know that you are amazing, you're powerful. Please don't let anybody bombard you with, you're a strong woman. If you need help, accept help.
Ask for
Ask for help. Ask for help from your girlfriends, from your sisters, from your tribe. Show up for people, let people show up for you. There is no shame in it. And when it comes to money, your anxiety will be eased when you know what is coming in and what is going out. That's what you can plan around. And then even in seasons where maybe it feels like what is coming in is not enough to cover what is on ground, if you do have a clear perspective, you'll be able to shed the weight or put off some things until later. I know you are doing so much already. My admonition is, please still find time for yourself. Time for something you love, something that still nurtures you as an individual, as a woman. And well done to all the amazing mothers, amazing women on this call. I love you by default. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Ife. Thank you for joining us. Ife can be reached on Instagram at MTWI Services and also at Ifeoluwa Adegoke. Please check out her and check out some of the advice she gives. It's very, very helpful advice. Now, today we've talked a lot about money, managing money as women, managing money in the household. But something that you need to know is not something that can be done in an hour. That's actually why we have a course, the Money Simplified course and Money Simplified Bootcamp. The course is coming up it's starting next month. So the link to register for the course is in the chat. If you're interested in learning more in depth about how to understand your money personality, manage your money, budget, personal finance, and everything about your personal finance, please join the course. You would have hands-on access to me if you join the boot camp, and you would have a financial plan at the end. That is the most important thing. You will be able to plan your goals, manage your money yourself. So, ladies and the gentlemen who joined us, thank you so much for joining this call. Click the link to get access to the course. And we will be sending out notifications for the next session. We have a few more sessions like this coming up. You'll be getting email notifications with the next ones coming up. If you have any questions, please feel free to send it. You can reach me on Instagram at Financial Literacy with Temi. Send your questions and we will answer them. Even if not in this session, you will get your answer. Thank you so much and have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.